Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nishat. I am with the City of Detroit's Office of Sustainability. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with a little bit of background on our office. So we are the city's first Office of Sustainability. We were established in 2017, and our mission is to facilitate healthy, green, vibrant, accessible neighborhoods where all Detroiters can contribute and benefit through collaboration, engagement and partnership, and then process and policy improvement within the city. How we define sustainability, we kind of see it as a three-legged stool with economy, equity, and environment. So people, profit, planet is another format that a lot of people may recognize. And we see it as meeting the needs of our current generation without sacrificing the needs of future generations, which I think is something that we're all kind of thinking about these days. And to give you a very broad overview of our sustainability action agenda, like I said, it was released last year. You can see it on our office's website, detroitmi.gov/sustainability. And we have organized it into 4 outcomes that we are aiming to achieve. Healthy, thriving people are at the center of our action agenda. Affordable, quality homes. We are looking at affordable and quality, meaning they are in good condition and that utilities are affordable. And clean, connected neighborhoods, connected digitally, clean as they're free of waste, and connected also through transit. And the last is equitable green city. That is an outcome where we look to see strong green stormwater infrastructure, where there are healthy tree canopies, and where all Detroiters can have access to be resilient in the face of climate change. Those 4 outcomes have 10 goals associated with them. They have to deal with air quality, access to healthy food, equity and access to economic opportunity, and all these different goals that you can see here. And one that we will be focusing in on today is clean, connected neighborhoods. Reducing waste sent to landfills is one of our 10 goals. And one of the ways that we can be sure to meet that is to reduce the waste that we have coming in and out of our homes, and by recycling and composting. My name is Nishat Colleen. I'm a project manager here at the Office of Sustainability. I focus on a number of projects, recycling being one of them, also things like reducing greenhouse gas emissions from our city, and a number of other things like supporting our climate strategy and that kind of work. The first speaker who we are going to have today is Natalie Jacob. She's the Executive Director of Green Living Science. So with that, I will go ahead and hand it over to Natalie Jacob, who will kick off our Recycling 101.
All right. Hi, everyone. As Nishat said, my name is Natalie Jacob, and I am the Executive Director of Green Living Science. And Green Living Science, we are a nonprofit organization here in the city working to teach about environmental education, increase people's awareness of environmental literacy, what that means. And so we have a great partnership with the City of Detroit, and we head up the recycling education and outreach around the Detroit Recycles program. So today I'm going to be talking to you about Recycling 101 with the focus on the Detroit Curbside Recycling Program. So today is, well, this week is Earth Week, and tomorrow we know is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. So we just think it's a great opportunity. So thank you, Nishat, for inviting us to participate today so we can continue our education at a time like this where we have to meet with everyone virtually. So quick, did you know, we like to start with this because it kind of puts things in perspective. So over 75% of the world's waste is recyclable, but only 30% of it is. So we know that the recycling markets are at in a current state of, they're not doing very well. But we know that as residents, we can practice the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, try and reduce the amount of waste that we're producing each day, and try to recycle as much of that waste as we can, so we can stop sending our waste to landfills like you see here in this picture, or as we used to do here in the city, to a waste to energy facility like other places around the world do. So what we're going to be focusing on today is what goes in the cart. So we get a lot of questions at Green Living Science, and we know that there is a lot of confusion around some of the items. So I'm hoping that I can answer some of those questions for you today and make it seem very easy for you. So we're going to start off with plastic. So plastic is probably the most confusing material that we get the most questions about. And so when we're talking about recycling our plastic, what we're referring to is hard or rigid plastic. So rigid meaning that it's a hard container like your water bottle, a milk container, or a laundry detergent container. And what we're saying is not considered plastic in this case are film plastics. So your chip bags, candy wrappers, anything that you can mold and move in your hand cannot be recycled in the curbside recycling program. You always want to look for a triangle with a number on it. So you see there in the middle, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. So you want to flip your container over. You want to see if it has that number on it. If it doesn't, we're going to want to make sure we throw that item away or find an alternative location for that material to go. Glass. Glass is a material that we want to, when we're thinking about whether it can or cannot be recycled, we want to think about where it came from. So most of the glass we're going to recycle is going to come from your home or from your kitchen. So you're either going to be able to drink something out of it or consume something out of it. The types of glass we don't want to see going into our recycling bin are things like fish tanks and windows, things like that. We want to make sure that it's bottles and jars that we have in our homes, like your Prego sauce jars, your Snapple drinking containers, your maple syrup, if it comes in a glass container. And we always want to make sure that all the liquid is out of those and that they're rinsed out before they go into our recycling cart. Metal, similar to glass, we do want to make sure it's something that we find in our homes or in our kitchen. So we want to make sure it's not things like car parts or tools, which we have seen all of those things in there. We want to remember that our recycling program is taking these items and changing it into something new that we can purchase again. So those sorts of things need to go to a scrapyard or a different facility to be recycled with industrial metals. And so for our metal, we're going to look for our soup cans, our pop cans, aluminum foil, as long as it's clean. Those can all be put into our recycling bin. So cardboard is going to be your boxes, your toilet paper rolls, your cereal boxes, shoe boxes. The biggest question we get about cardboard is our pizza boxes. With our pizza boxes, if you've heard that if it has grease on it, you're right. We do want to make sure that any greasy pizza boxes don't get into our recycling carts. But there are a lot of pizza places that put a white liner on the bottom. If you remove that liner and there's no cheese or crust pieces inside of your box and it's clean, those can all be recycled. We want to make sure we break down and flatten our cardboard. So we want to make sure that we're not taking up and wasting space in our recycling carts, especially since our program is only picked up every other week. We don't want to fill it up, but we also don't want to shove a lot of cardboard in. One thing that we've seen is that the cardboard gets stuck, and then as it's being tipped over into the recycling truck, sometimes the carts go along with it, and we want to make sure that that doesn't happen to you. So make sure you break them down and put them in there and to a point that they're loose and they're not going to be stuck. So lastly, we have paper. So paper is going to be any kind of paper you can find in your home, your newspapers, your magazines, your junk mail, any scrap paper, computer paper that you have. All of that can be recycled. There are a few tips with paper. We want to make sure that if you have shredded paper, that you want to put your shredded paper in a brown paper bag at first. One thing we want to avoid, and I'll touch more on this in just a few minutes, is we don't want to put any clear plastic bags or any plastic bags of any kind into our recycling carts. Bags will not be recycled. So if you do have shredded paper, you can bring it to the City of Detroit's drop-off recycling facility, which I'll also provide more information on that. But you can also just put it in a brown paper bag, seal it shut with a few staples, and put that in your cart. We also want to avoid putting paper, wrapping paper around the holidays and receipt paper that you get from stores. Those are different types of papers and need to either just be thrown away or taken to another facility that will accept those. So green means clean. We want to make sure that all of our containers are clean and rinsed out before we recycle them. The one thing we want to avoid is making our recycling container another trash can. So we want everything that's in our recycling container that's going to be going to a facility to be recycled. We want to make sure it's clean. So if you have a yogurt cup that has a little bit of leftover yogurt, give it a quick rinse, soak it overnight, and then you can put it into your recycling cart. One thing you could know about metal is you do not have to remove labels. As you see in this picture, that person removed their labels, but you do not have to. You can leave all your labels on. You can leave your lids on your containers as well. So some recycling tips, and these could apply to, if you don't live in Detroit, these are likely going to be the same for any area that you live in or city that you live in. So we want to place all recyclables loose in the recycling cart and not in a plastic bag, as I mentioned. We do want to make sure that we're not sorting and that everything is going into the same place and not in bags. All items must be in the cart to be collected, not on top of or around it. So if you have too much stuff, the best advice we have, and we hear good results from other residents who deal with this, is just ask your neighbor if they have a little bit of room that you can put some of your things in there. You also have access to a drop-off recycling facility where you can take your larger items. Or if you just moved and you have a lot of cardboard boxes, we always encourage offering those to others that may be in need or are moving and need some boxes instead of buying them. So always think of those other R words, reduce and reuse, before we get to recycle. Have your cart out by 7 a.m. on your day of service so you can put your cart out the night before. Empty and rinse out all containers before recycling, and then do not place yard waste in your recycling cart. I'll touch on this a little bit more, but we want to make sure we're also not putting any yard waste in a plastic bag. So because yard waste, we all know it cannot go into our trash cans, we do see a lot of yard waste entering into our recycling cart. So please try to avoid putting it in there. It does make the material contaminated that's in the truck. And we want to make sure we avoid contamination as much as possible so that we can increase decrease our contamination rates, but also increase the amount of materials that are actually ending up at processing facilities. Lastly, when in doubt, throw it out. If you're not sure, the best thing you can do is not go on the internet and Google it unless you're going to your own municipality's website to see. A lot of cities have different rules when it comes to recycling, and we want to make sure that we're sticking to the rules that we have placed here in Detroit. You can always give me and my office a call, and we are happy to help. So here are a few examples of carts that we have actually seen. We had the opportunity to conduct a sort or a set out rate study last year, as well as a sort. And so on the left, you see a recycling cart that has clean and loose materials. Everything in there can be recycled. There's nothing in there that shouldn't be in there. On the other two carts, which these are the black carts with the blue lid that come from a pilot area. We are working on increasing our education over those areas. The one in the middle had bags, but the bags contain clean recycling, which those are the recyclables in there, unfortunately, because they're in bags, will be pulled off the line and not recycled. So we want to make sure you don't put it in bags, because we know that you take the time to sort it, to separate it from your trash and put it in your recycling bins. We want to see it get recycled. The cart on the right, you'll see there's some sort of fabric and yard waste, and those are things that absolutely cannot be recycled in our program. So those do need to go into the trash. So what cannot be recycled? So here are some of the very common items that we see, especially in the city, is candy wrappers and chip bags. So that comes back to that film plastic that we talked about. So while it is plastic, it cannot be recycled in our carts at home. food waste and paper plates and plastic utensils. So if you have a little get together at your home and you're serving, you don't want to do the dishes. I understand that for sure. We want to make sure that those are thrown away. The plastic utensils almost always never have a plastic or a triangle and a number on it. And so those will have to be thrown away. You can always look for alternative options. So if you want to get some sort of disposable paper plate, make sure it's paper plate and not styrofoam plate. And then the plastic utensils, you can always try and look for biodegradable or compostable utensils. Food waste, Renee will talk more on that, but we definitely want to make sure our food waste does not end up in our recycling bins. And lastly, one of the largest contaminants we see in our recycling carts is used napkins and paper towels. So despite having paper in the name, used napkins and paper towels cannot be changed and made into new paper. So you can always put those in your compost bin, which I'll let Renee touch on that as well, but please keep your napkins and paper towels out of your recycling carts at home. So here we have the plastic bags and styrofoam. So these materials, they have triangles and numbers on them, which make it a little confusing for people to make that determination of whether it can be recycled or not. So our plastic bags, we want to make sure we're not putting those into our recycling bin, but those can be recycled if you want to take them back to your local grocery store. So a Meijer, Walmart, Kroger will almost always have a container near the front doors where you can take them. The best way to reduce how much plastic bags you use is bring canvas bags or tote bags with you so that you can keep reusing those. And they're also much more sturdy and you can fit more things in them. Styrofoam, it does have a triangle and a number on it as well, but this material cannot be recycled in our recycling carts. You can, however, bring this material to recycle here in Detroit. But again, when it comes to our purchasing decisions, if you have an opportunity to look into a paper cup compared to styrofoam, ultimately for our health as well, styrofoam is an oil-based product and we want to make sure that we're not allowing those into our body. So paper products, paper cups, paper plates are always a better choice. So I've mentioned a few times the City of Detroit's drop-off recycling facility, Recycle Here. Hopefully many of you have been there before. So here at this facility, which is open to you and free to Detroit residents Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, you can take things like your styrofoam, your electronics, your batteries, as well as all the other recyclables. Your paper, plastic, metal, glass, and cardboard can all go there as well, along with these other materials. Because like we talked about in that first slide with the landfill, we're trying to divert these materials from going into our landfill. So if we can find a way that we can recycle them or reuse them in some way, it's better for us and it's better for our planet. So feel free to check out Recycle Here. They're currently closed due to the stay-at-home order, but they will be open as soon as that's lifted and ready for all the recyclers. Another great resource available to Detroit residents is our household hazardous waste. So we're very fortunate that this is available to Detroiters on a weekly basis. Most municipalities only provide household hazardous waste drop-off a few times a year. So Wayne County offers four different drop-off days for that, but you as a resident, you can access it every Thursday from 7:30 to 2 p.m. and every fourth Saturday. And at this facility, all you need to do is bring an ID to prove you're a Detroit resident. And here you can bring things like your TVs, your car batteries, microwaves, paints, automotive fluids, pesticides. You can also bring old medications, put it in a Ziploc bag, no questions asked. Any sharp containers, you can bring those, put those in a solid plastic container, and they'll take them and dispose of them properly. So yard waste, mentioned this a little bit earlier. We want to make sure we're not putting our yard waste in plastic bags. They will not service it if it is. Make sure to use a biodegradable lawn bag or put it in your own 32-gallon trash container that you can pick up at most stores, and just write yard waste only on it. You want to make sure you bundle any long twigs or branches, make sure that they are in a safe size that the workers who are picking them up can properly throw them into their vehicles. And these are also every other week, and our yard waste program will begin next week, April 27th. So if you've been doing some yard work, you can look to your schedule and see when your pickup day is and get your yard waste out to the curb. So bulk waste, we see quite a bit of bulk waste, and sometimes you might wonder why it's not being picked up. And sometimes it's because the expectations for being properly packaged is not being met. So we want to make sure if you have bulk waste, make sure to put it in front of your own home on the curb. A lot of residents like to move it to a field or to a home that has no residents living in it. And we want to make sure that that's not the case, because it will not be serviced if it doesn't look like it's being occupied. It has to be in front of your own home. You also want to make sure it's only 2 cubic yards for each pickup. If you have more than that, let's say you're moving, you have a lot to get rid of, you have access to some drop-off locations that are free to you. You can always call the city. You can look online at their website to find out those locations, which are listed here. And you can also, if you don't have the capacity to drive your materials to one of these drop-off sites, you can call the city and they'll come out to give you a removal estimate, or you can always rent a roll-off container from the city. It's pretty affordable for the pickup program, so don't let that deter you from wanting to utilize that service. It is available to you as Detroit residents. So some other great services, I'm sure most of you know about our See Click Fix program, the Improved Detroit app that you can download on your phone. If you see anything, I'm going to focus on waste, but you could use it for many other things. If you see some illegal dumping, or you see some curbside bin that hasn't been picked up, or anything like that, you can report that and DPW will get out there and service it. I've done it a few times around my neighborhood here with some yard waste that wasn't properly packaged and ended up sitting out for about a month or so, and then they come out and take it right away. The Wayne County Recycles app is also free to you, and you can go on there, type in a material, and learn about the proper way to recycle it or dispose of it in your city or in the county. Another great resource, and something that we have seen increase tremendously while we've all been staying at home. We now have about 26,000 residents using this website and this service, but you could go to the city website to find out when your recycling pickup day is and sign up for a text message reminder. So if you go to detroitmi.gov, in the search bar at the top, type recycle, you can click on the link that says look up your trash, recycling, bulk, and yard waste curbside pickup schedule. Type in your address in the top left-hand corner, and it'll pop up and show you when your service dates are. So it will show you who your hauler is, the phone number to reach them if you have a missed pickup, when your pickup days are. And here's where you can also sign up for those reminders. You can either enter the information into the phone box and click sign me up for reminders, or you can text your address to 313-800-7905 to start receiving those. And so what it does is it'll text you the night before your pickup to remind you to get your carts or your items out to the curb so that you have them out on time, so that they can be serviced. So for this Earth Week, since we're staying at home and we're not able to get into schools and provide education, we wanted to provide some fun activities you could do at home. One of those being a family waste audit. So you can go to our website. We have these as downloadable resources for you. And so this is a great way to just see what kind of materials you're throwing away at your home. It's very easy. You just have to get a bag, collect some things for a few days, and then lay it out outside and just see what you have in there. It's a great way to see what the composition of your waste is, and then plan how you can start to practice ways to refuse it, reduce it, or reuse it at your home. Another item, resource we have available is called the Plastic Swap. So we did a little bit of research here to find some eco-friendly alternatives to items you'll find in your bathroom as well as your kitchen. So if you're ready to make the switch and try and get rid of plastic from your life, there's some great resources on there as well. And here we have a plastic audit. So we know that plastic has a negative impact on the environment, especially when it comes to single-use plastic. So here's a great way for you to do some math to see how much plastic you're using in your life, so that you can continue to think about ways to change those materials and start using other things. Some easy things we can do is refusing straws, or bringing our own water bottles somewhere. There are many things that you can do. So as I mentioned at the beginning, you can, for attending this webinar today, you can sign up for a free recycling cart if you don't already have one. So here's our contact information. That is our email address. This is my cell phone. You can also visit the DetroitRecycles.org website and take a quick game, do a fun game quiz to sign up. But we'll get you signed up right away, and we can send you this information so you have it along with some additional resources as well. So thank you all for your time, and I hope you all have a great Earth Day and Earth Week, and really celebrate the Earth that we have, and that hopefully we don't have any more snow this week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Natalie, from Green Living Science, for that great information on recycling. We have a couple of questions related to recycling for Natalie. One is it possible to get a replacement cart? And another is related to recycling for businesses in the city. So would you be able to answer some of those, Natalie? If not, I can weigh in.
So if you
Great.
had a stolen recycling cart, you can try and reach out directly to your waste hauler and give them a call. And usually what they'll do is they'll go out to investigate just to see what could have happened. In some cases, as I mentioned earlier, about stuffing the cardboard into the recycling cart, sometimes what happens is the cart just actually gets recycled. So you can always call your haulers. If they aren't able to help you, you can always reach out to Green Living Science, and we can try and do what we can to pull together the haulers, the city, and make sure your issue is addressed. Should you need another cart or just want an additional cart on top of one that you may have obtained for free, you can purchase your recycling cart for $25 by just going on the city website or calling your waste hauler. And then in terms of business recycling in the city, I see the question about getting recycling carts for businesses on Livernois. Currently, Green Living Science has a program called Be Green Business, where we can connect with you. We can talk through what some of your options are. But one of the best things to do is coordinate with some of the other local businesses and try and see if you could get a dumpster together, or we can help identify ways to reduce your waste so that you can start to offset some of those funds to purchase or make the payments on a recycling dumpster. One of our efforts, as Renee mentioned, she works with the compost for the organic subcommittee for the Green Task Force. I chair the recycling and waste reduction subcommittee. One of our policies and priorities is looking at ways to get recycling among businesses and multifamily housing as well.
Great. There is a question here about how do I get one of these blue cans, and I know the answer to that one. It's if you are living in a single family home or a building with, Natalie, let me know if I'm right on this, of 3 units or under,
4 units or
then
less.
4 units or less, thank you. Then you can go to DetroitRecycles.org, and just by participating in this webinar today, you can get one for free. So DetroitRecycles.org, and that will give you information on how to get a voucher to get a cart for free. Another question is, are stickers on water bottles considered a recyclable item? I think you covered this with your slides on labels.
Yeah, you can just leave the labels on. If the label has already fallen off for some reason, go ahead and just throw it away. Those small labels, typically I'm trying to find the best way to explain this, but if an item is smaller than an adult fist, so things like sticky notes or bottle caps, things like that, we don't want to put those items loose in our recycling carts. We want to just throw those away, or if it's a material that can be composted, you can do that as well. But we don't want to throw our labels in our recycling cart.
Great. And we are coming up a little bit past 5 o'clock, so we'll see if any stray questions come through, but I want to thank everyone. Thank you to our speakers for sharing this great information with us today. We know that it's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day tomorrow, and we wanted to, as an office, share some very helpful, easy tips so folks can get a little more educated while they're at home. Hopefully these are some things you can start implementing right away while you are at home. And we will be sharing these presentations. They'll be available on our website, and we'll also share the the links in that Renee and Natalie shared as well on our Earth Week 2020 page on the Office of Sustainability's website. That's detroitmi.gov/sustainability. So you will be able to find all the information there. And one quick final question on the Green Task Force Earth Day Awards. Do you guys know when nominations for that close so we can get our green heroes nominated?
Yeah, we're going to keep the nominations open for the entire year. Since we had to cancel, we want to just keep getting the information of those doing great things in our community. So we will keep it open for the entire year until we have a plan and a date set for the following. So keep those nominations coming. If there's someone you think should be recognized, we want to know that information and we want to meet them.
Thank you both. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and end our webinar. Thank you everyone for participating and hanging on through some of the technical difficulties that we had. Again, this will be available on Facebook Live. We'll be posting it to the City of Detroit's YouTube page. The PowerPoints and the information and the links that are in them will be on our website, which is detroitmi.gov/sustainability. We do have another one of these webinars coming up on Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock. It'll be about saving water and saving energy. So you will see a demonstration on installing your rain barrel, disconnecting your downspout, and some good energy efficiency tips you can implement at home right away. So thank you again, and I hope everyone enjoys the 50th Earth Day tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.